So we're doing exercise 7G, and this is question 13, which says, if a point AB sits on the number plane in one of the four regions, 1, 2, 3, or 4, as shown, these regions are called quadrants. Name the quadrant or quadrants that include the points where, and first we have I, which has A is greater than 0. So let's remind ourselves that we're dealing with our coordinate, and our coordinate is A, B. Now we know that my A corresponds to my X coordinate, and my B corresponds to my Y coordinate. So if for I, it's telling me that A is greater than 0, I'm going to be looking at my x-axis, and I'm going to be looking for where my x-axis, the value of it, is greater than 0. So if this is 0 right here, it's going to be everything greater than that. Another way to think about that is when it says A is greater than 0, it's simply saying all the positive numbers. It's saying when A is positive, which quadrant am I going to be in? Well, obviously, I'm going to be in either quadrant 1, or that's quadrant 2, that's quadrant 3, that's quadrant 4. So obviously, I'm either going to be in quadrant 1 or quadrant 4. So your answer to the first one is going to be Q1 or Q4. So that's your answer to the first one. You're either in the first quadrant or the fourth quadrant. And that's because you can see here, these are my X values. I'm either going to be here or here or here or here or here, but my X has to be positive, which takes me either here or here. Let's now answer the next one, which says that my A is greater than 0 and my B is less than 0. So let me come here and let me rub out this and that and that and that and that. All right. So my A is going to be greater than 0. My A is going to be greater than 0. Well, we know what that means. If my A is greater than 0, I'm looking here. And if my B is less than 0, if my B is less than 0, and I know that my B corresponds to my Y values, so I'm looking here, I'm looking at this axis, and if it's less than 0, it's obviously going to be down here. So it's going to be in my fourth quadrant. So my answer to the next one is going to be just Q4, nothing else. So I knew that because I said, well, where is my A going to be positive? It's going to be positive here. So my X's are positive here. And where is my B going to be negative? Well, my B's are going to be negative all the way here, which means I could get this point, I could get this point, I could get this point. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's now answer the next one, which is B is less than 0. 1, 2, 3. B is less than 0. So let me come here. Let me rub that out. Let me rub that out. Let me rub that out. So now we're dealing with B is less than 0. So we know that B corresponds to my Y coordinate. So we look at my Y axis. Here's 0. If it's going to be less than 0, we're going to be looking here. Now it hasn't specified what my A is going to be. So my A could be anything. So that means I'm either going to be here or here or here or here or here or here. It could be any point here. So that means I'm either going to be in my third quadrant or my fourth quadrant. So I would say it's Q3 or Q4. All right, let's answer the last one. The last one, let me scroll down a bit, is IV. A is less than 0. A is less than 0. And B is less than 0. Let me come over here. Let me rub this out. Let me rub out all these points. Okay, so let me get my pen. If A is less than 0, that means I'm going to be looking at all of these values, remembering that my A corresponds to my X values, and it's going to be less, so it's over here. Then we come here, and B is less than 0. Well, we know that's just going to be here. We've done that lots of times before. So as you can see, that means we're going to be looking at our third quadrant. So I'm going to say my answer to this is Q3. So hopefully that made sense of how I approach that. I really think that the takeaway message here is when you see this notation, when you see A is greater than 0, whenever you see greater than 0, it's just saying A is positive. Or if you saw A is less than 0, it's meaning A is negative. So that's really important, but other than that, I hope this video has helped. I will now make another video about B, but please give it a go before you watch the video.